Excellent. Cathy Poungmala, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Neil.
Okay, we've got our test. Everything seemed to work out well. Thank you so much for joining us at Masterminds with Neil Schwartz today. We're looking forward to hearing all about you, all the cool things that are going on in your land. You're actually not at your home base. You're in Las Vegas right now at another event, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm in Las Vegas.
Very, very cool. And your home base is where?
I'm in Northern Virginia. I live in Northern Virginia and I sell real estate in Northern Virginia, Maryland, and DC, the whole metropolitan Virginia area.
And that's more than one multiple listing service, isn't it?
It is. It's three. So it's constant continuing ed.
So, have they figured out how to tie everything together, or you guys all have to belong to three separate boards and do three separate things?
We have to do continuing ed for all three areas. And I'm part of the Northern Virginia Board of Realtors. And so it's, I could join the other boards, but I'm mainly part of the Northern Virginia board.
Perfect. Okay. So Cathy, give us a little Reader's Digest version of when you started in real estate, how long you've been doing this, what'd you do before real estate, if anything.
Okay. Well, be prepared for a long story, folks. I actually got my real estate license in early 2000. And before I got my license, I actually sold environmental products for a network marketing company. It was called Equinox International. And I really got involved in that because I believed in having clean, pure water. And I was right out of college. And although I studied graphic design and fine arts and marketing in college, I got pulled into the sales position. And I would have to say that I'm very thankful for it. It changed my life. From there, I moved to Northern Virginia and the East Coast selling these products, and then eventually got out of that business and had to kind of wait tables. I got married at a young age, divorced within a year, found myself in Virginia, lost my sales skills as a graphic designer, and had to start all over again. So I picked up odds and ends jobs. I worked at a restaurant, waiting tables. I got a job at a title company from one of the fellow coworkers who had offered a position to me, answering the phones. Yeah, all I had to do is be professional and answer the phones. It's a great day, a great American title. And so as I sat in that office, I watched numerous real estate transactions happen in front of me. And it was right in like early 2000. And I noticed that as I watched these different agents come through, it dawned on me that, gosh, I think I found my next passion. Instead of selling environmental products, I believe I could really sell homes. And so from there, I got my license. I made sure that it was close to the restaurant where I worked. It was literally a 5-minute drive. And my plan was, I'm going to sell real estate, learn how to sell homes. I'm going to keep my other job because I had to pay my bills, pay my rent. And it all started from there. And the exciting news was that when I was working at the restaurant, one of my fellow coworkers wanted to buy a house. His name was Pedro. And he said, Cathy, hurry up and get your license. My wife and I want to use you to buy our first house. So I was really thankful that that I had an opportunity to already have a client. So I felt lucky that really helps, that first transaction that you get under your belt. And then within that year of getting started in real estate, my general manager of the restaurant said, hey, I'm moving to Chicago. And here I am working in the restaurant, raising my hand saying, here's your listing agent right here. And, can you imagine being a server at a restaurant, your general manager's working? And he said, talk to me after shift. So I went and talked to him. I got an interview. And at the time, the good news was the restaurant that we worked at, they offered to pay his relocation fees. So it was a really, nice transaction. But the funny thing about that is when I went into his property, it was a little tiny 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom condo. At the time I was living in a 1-bedroom in North Arlington, selling homes, right, from a 1-bedroom apartment and faking it till you make it. When I walked into his property, I remember I said to him, wow, I'd really love to buy your place, but I don't even know if I can afford it. I didn't even think about getting a mortgage or checking to see what I could qualify for personally. I didn't think I could do it. And he said to me, Cathy, I'd love to sell it to you. Why don't you make an offer? And at the time, I think the sales values in that neighborhood were probably about $250. And I believed that I would do a great job for him. So he signed a listing agreement with me for 267. And I thought, Jeff, I'd love to buy your place, but number one, I'm your agent and I have to build a good reputation for selling homes. And so I literally made an offer to Jeff for 275. And I had an escalation agreement in the offer, gave it to my broker on a Friday, did multiple open houses that weekend, got 8 offers, and the highest offer beat mine by $500, is in the 290 range. And so I'm telling you this story because I really value what I do for my clients. And so that's how I bought my first place. I had to compete against 8 other offers, and my broker handled the wholesale. My boss at the time was really, happy with the price that he got, and it paved my way for my whole career. So I immediately quit my job at the restaurant because I finally got the place, and I went full-time into real estate. And so I would say that having sold real estate now for the last 21 years, that whole philosophy that I used for buying my own personal place was what I use for all my clients. I really value my clients' properties and always do the best that I can to help them get the highest price possible.
Fantastic. Very good. And in the beginning, your business came from past client and sphere, door knocking, phone canvassing, expireds.
When I first got started, it was in 2002, 2001 and 2. And I had no idea about expireds or door knocking. Well, I did do some door knocking and door hangers, but how I got my first sale was, my first listing was a tenant called the office, and I was working desk duty, and they wanted to rent a little apartment that was about $1,400. And so I asked her, have you gotten pre-approved to see what you qualify to buy? And she said, well, we're not ready to buy yet, maybe in 6 months. It's like, well, let's go ahead and get you pre-approved. And what happened with that was, instead of them renting an apartment, I helped them buy their first home. And a year later, I helped them sell the home. And then she referred to me her sister, and then they bought and sold. And so that's how it started. And I did that for, until 2007, 2008, when the market really started to shift and change. And from there, that's when I started to learn about calling expireds and for sale by owners. So I wasn't involved with Mike Ferry at the time.
Right. So most of your real estate between 2000 and 2008 or 9 was working open houses, past client and sphere, word of mouth, those kinds of things, correct?
Everything, yes. I did a lot of open houses. I came from a traditional broker, and from the very beginning, I started doing open houses for other agents and really working the open house. And I always seem to actually find clients from doing open houses. So that's always worked for me, that method of prospecting.
Okay. So you transitioned in 08, 09, 10 to what got you started with expireds for sale by owners, that kind of stuff?
I actually started calling expireds and for sale by owners after actually going to my first Mike Ferry training. When the market started to shift and change, I found myself in my office. I was usually number 1 or 2 in my office, but I didn't feel that I had the strength to actually make it through a declining market. And so I then looked for a real estate coach. I actually thought I need coaching. I definitely believed in coaching. And I looked up Mike Ferry. A friend of mine had mentioned that Mike Ferry was a great real estate coach, and there was an event in Northern Virginia that was actually coming up. So I actually called to schedule to go to the event. And the gentleman on the phone said, I think it was at the time about $500, and Patrick Ferry was doing the training. And I asked him, well, what happens if I go to the event? How much is a coaching? And he said, it's $1,000. And I thought, okay, $1,000. And he said, the good news is once you join coaching, you don't have to pay for these events anymore. So I thought, well, can I actually just pay for coaching and join coaching? And what if I go and I don't want to actually do the coaching? Can you refund the difference of the 500 or whatever the difference was? And he said, well, let me check with Mike. And of course they said, sure, we'll do that. And I never looked backwards. So once I went to that first event, that's when I learned about calling expireds and for sale by owners. And I started to learn the system.
Got it. Perfect. Excellent. So what kind of business were you doing from 2000, let's say, to 2008 or 9 on an annual basis?
At the time, I was probably doing about 32, 28 to 32 transactions a year,
Okay.
which was okay. That was okay.
Oh,
That's just,
absolutely. You bet. You bet. But not what you were looking for.
no, it wasn't what I was looking for. I really believe in growing. I always want to improve each year. And so when that happened, I actually left my traditional broker. I went to a very small broker. I also joined the Mike Ferry coaching program. And I would say that I felt like during that process, the next 2 or 3 years, my business started to triple. It doubled and tripled. And so that was just what I did years. I would say that when the market was declining, I don't know where I'd picked this up from, but my mindset when I was in the office and I heard the other fellow realtors in my office saying, our market is, declining. We've got all these, we're not getting listings. And in my mind, I just said to myself, if you say so, but my market's going to be good because I want to do more than what I did last year. I want to help more people sell. And I would have to say that during that time period, 2008, 9, and 10 was where I learned how to really price homes properly. I became a better listing agent during that time period.
Good. Excellent. What did you do to become a better listing agent? What are some of the tech activities?
So I don't know if you've noticed, but I love talking and
I had not noticed. So.
But my other personality, when I'm not sure of something, I become highly analytical.
Okay.
So what I did is, as I took listings, I actually would go and preview homes. I would look at other listings. I would really study the market.
Whoa.
I would literally go through the properties and take photos and look at the differences of each property. And I just feel like I had a knack for it. I guess it just, I'm a big believer in pricing homes properly. I don't like to overprice my properties. I don't like to underprice them to create a bidding war necessarily. I like to pick the perfect price. And that price can also change from the time I take the listing to the time I go on the market. So 70% of my properties now, I price them. And before I even go on the market with the sellers, I'm increasing the price. So I like to consider myself a price increasing agent. I love increasing values for my clients.
Interesting. Very interesting. Good. Okay. So, so to become a better listing agent, you had to really understand the market and the product that you were selling, correct?
I did. And I would say that I'm also a big believer in you only get one chance to make a first impression. So for my very first listing, that was about 45 minutes away from my office when I was on my way out of the restaurant. I went to the listing. I got the listing. It was my client who bought the apartment or bought her first property. Her sister's home. Her sister was selling her home. And so I remember going to the dollar store to pick up towels and running around to get shower curtains and making sure that the property looked its best. Wiped countertops, swept the house, whatever I needed to do so that when open house happened, I could really feel proud of the property. And not all homes show nicely. So I would say that was something that was really important to me. My dad was in the military. We traveled a lot. And he always said that whenever you leave a place, you want to leave it looking better than you found it before. So
smart,
yeah.
Very smart. Good. So Cathy, so it had to do with product knowledge, what was going on. How about the scripts and dialogues? Did that have any importance to you?
Tremendous importance. So I started getting role play partners. I met a gentleman in San Diego who's one of my favorite Mike Ferry role play partners. And so we started practicing. He lived in New York and I was in Virginia. So we actually practiced all of our scripts. And from there, I picked up other role play partners and role played a lot. I still do up to today.
Okay. So how about scheduling? How about, by the way, pre-listing package, is that important to you? Do you use it?
No, I don't. I have a pre-listing package, but I email it to the client. So it's different than,
okay.
Yes. I
All right.
actually have the plan of action. I have my references. I also have another piece called How I Market. My coach had suggested that I send this in advance so that I don't talk as much during the presentation about all the marketing, because that's what I really love. I get excited about marketing the home.
Okay.
So
So you're not sending a pre-listing package. However, you're sending a how I sell your home piece.
I do. I send it to them in an email form. I call to confirm. And I also have another next steps too. Like once I actually have the seller sign with me, I also have another sheet that talks about exactly what happens with the next steps. For instance, my assistant will call the next day. I own a home staging business as well, which I started in 2010. So I use home staging as part of my listing plan.
Good for you.
So to mix the two, I like to explain to the clients exactly step by step what will happen from the time I take the listing to the house getting sold.
So do you have that in writing or do you just talk?
You mean the whole process from listing the home?
The process.
It's actually in writing. It's a really nice professional piece that I have that literally is professionally designed, and they know exactly what's going to happen step by step, all the way up to closing. I also use text images. I actually have other images that I send them, which is kind of a fun thing that I do. It's a part of, for instance, when I have, once I start working with a client, my team member will actually send them a text image that says, our home stager will be calling you to schedule a walkthrough with the contractor to assess what's needed, to a text images saying, congratulations, with a bottle of champagne. And so it helps support me behind the scenes so that my clients know that my team is actively involved with the whole process.
What's a text image?
A text image is similar to, here, let me pull
Am
it
I
up.
really behind on this, you guys?
So here's a whole bunch of text images that I have. And here's like step number 4. This is simply a reminder that the IHD team, staging manager, and a contractor will meet you today at your property to assess your home for repairs and improvements in order to prepare quotes. So it's an image that looks very similar to this.
Could you do me a favor? I can't see it on this, but could you text it to me?
Sure, I'm happy to.
And I'll have them post it on the chat box.
Sure.
Just to get an idea of what you're talking about. Sounds interesting. Sounds very interesting. So let's talk about customer service for a second. Look, for 40 something years, we hear about Ritz-Carlton, we hear about the Four Seasons, we hear about all these organizations that customer service. Mike says if you want to expand your business, it's about customer service. So it sounds like you've got some customer service elements. Is there something that you do or a series of things that you make sure that are done to anticipate the client's needs before they even think about it?
I do a lot. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's even too much. I think the best form of customer service is to really value their home and deliver a great result. The best customer service is helping a client achieve their real estate goals and really representing their best interests. So that is probably number one with what I do. And so there's lots of different systems that I've implemented from the time I schedule an appointment to the time that I meet with them, and having my team also working with the clients to support the client's process and transaction. So we constantly work on this on a daily basis. How do we deliver better customer service? How do we serve our clients? Because there are different personalities that we have with our clients. As you know, some of them are more motivated than others. I have clients that don't want to take my recommendations. I do put together a cost-effective list of recommendations that can help them sell their home for more money. And I believe in these processes, but not everyone is prepared to do those things. So you really have to know your customer, know what they're willing to do, and to respect their situation. So I would say that, selling real estate isn't just about listing the house and getting the home sold and the next customer. It's really about developing relationships with our clients. I believe that if I do a great job for my client, when it's time for them to sell, they will call me. So if I do a good job, they'll remember to call me. So I guess that's what I believe and
Yeah, no, makes
do with every transaction.
yeah, makes total sense. Absolutely. One of our people on the mastermind asked a question here. Can you share the list of things that you do that make sure that gets done? Is that possible?
What do you mean? The list that I do to make sure that it's actually part of my processes and systems. It's the what makes me unique from other agents, I believe, is how I incorporate owning a home staging business to selling real estate. So it's more than just listing a house. It's also having this other side business as well to support my clients. So that's the list. It's a list to incorporate both businesses.
Got it. Okay, great. Perfect. So what do you think your superpower is, Cathy?
My superpower is my blind faith and belief in myself and belief in others. So I'm a big goal setter. I like to set goals. And sometimes when I set my goals, I prepare to do it in a certain way. And when I set them, I love to write them down with a date, literally pick a date in advance. It could be a small goal. It could be a long-term goal. And I just really, truly believe in that goal once I set it. So.
Okay, got it. So that becomes very important to you.
Yes.
Great. So how many transactions in 21 did you do?
2021, I did 63 transactions.
63 deals. Okay, great. And what do you think your average price is? You grossing 10,000 a deal, 15,000 a deal? I mean, Virginia might even be higher than that.
I increased my average sales price. So in 2020, I actually did 72 transactions and about 46 million. And this last year, I did less transactions, but I grossed a higher commission because of how I changed my commission structure. So I increased my average sales price over the last couple of years by about $5,000. So it's about $20,000 a transaction.
Okay, great. How did you adjust your commission? What did you do that was different that helped you do that? Just work a higher price point or keep more money or?
Well, I own a home staging business because I wanted all my listings to look good. And
Okay.
so I started the business back in 2010 and included home staging services with all my listings. I had a bookkeeper and an accountant who looked at my volume and numbers, and literally it made sense for me to do that because I would sell my houses for a lot more. And so that had been a big part of it. And I gave it away. It costs a lot of money to rent storage spaces, to buy furniture. And my ex-husband, actually, who's I was married to, I started that business so that we could work together as a team. He could help prepare the properties, help get the properties painted and fixed up so that we can have a more successful sale. So that was more of a family business, and that's why I included it. And then after we had split up in 2017, I then took over the business because, of course, I still wanted the staging. We parted ways, and I needed other people because he wasn't there to help with that anymore. So I hired a staging manager, and I have a part-time stager that's become full-time. I use movers to move all of my goods. And then I realized that when I stage properties, my clients were making $50,000, $100,000, recently $200,000 more than they expected. And so I've changed my commission structure. So I do get a higher commission split. And
when you offer the staging.
Yes. I offer it on all of my listings. It's included in all of my listings. So I tend to really, my clients that use me, I don't really have to worry that much about my commissions. I believe that I'm worth it, and I'm going to earn my fees. I like to get paid, but how I get paid is by helping them walk away from the closing table with more money than they ever expected. And the other thing too, Neil, is the market conditions are great. And Mike Ferry reminds us, he said, don't take responsibility for the market when the market isn't so great. You know, we beat ourselves up because we're having a harder time getting our listing sold, and maybe there's more price reductions involved. And in reverse, in this market, I also try not to take responsibility for the market conditions. We know that we may be getting multiple offers on our properties and sales, but I can have a lot of control in terms of what I can create for my clients. So I have not cut any corners in this market. Just because you can put a home on the market, it might sell right away. I have not compromised on any of my listing steps. I've continued on with every single step, and I've been able to really create a better business for myself the last couple of years because of it.
You're the perfect example of attitude is everything.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so all right, so it brings us we've got a decent number of newer agents on this call. We have a group of veteran agents that want to go to quote unquote the next level. So what advice would you give right now to those people to move forward? Is it similar for both groups, or is it slightly different?
The advice that I'd like to give is what I got from my mentor in my first real estate office. She said, buyers and sellers come and go, but the professionals that you work with, you'll never forget. So treat other agents professionally. And the other thing is just, you know, all you have in this business is your integrity. And that's really worked well for me. I really value my clients, and when I'm representing a client, I really always want to do the best that I can for them. When I go to sleep at night, I like to feel that I've always looked out for their best interest. There are many opportunities where I go into a listing and the house is really a great value. I remember competing for a listing once back in 2010, and the seller it was an estate sale. And I think I met him at the open house for the house that I sold next door. And he said that, you know, I'd like to interview you. And so I asked him, what price would you like to set? You know, what price would you like to set for for your home? And he said $275,000. I thought, wow, great. And I found out that the other agent that he interviewed offered him $310,000 cash for it. Interesting that he wanted to price it a little bit less. He actually did not value the home as much as everybody else did, but he still listed his home with me. And so I gave him the same recommendations that I would give other sellers. And then when we were ready, he signed with me for $275,000 too, when we could have even done $310,000. And so I then listed the house. When it was time to list it, I did my price increase. I said, based on what we've done, thank you for repairing the hole in your ceiling and cleaning up all the marks on your walls. And he mustered up some money to fix the house. And so what ended up happening is I told him, you know, I think we can price it between $350,000 and $375,000. And he thought, wow, that's a lot more. And we agreed on $367,000. And so we listed at $367,000. I got 10 offers. It sold for $405,000. So
Wow.
That's kind of like how, you know, and my ex-husband at the time, after I sold it, he said, oh my gosh, you're whatever he called me. He goes, we could have bought that house for $275,000 or $310,000. And so that's why we're not married anymore. I really represent my client's best interest. And it just, unfortunately, he's a wonderful father for my daughter, and I'm very happy for him. But that mindset's really helped me. And I know that it's going to help me for the rest of my career.
That's great. Cathy, let's talk about mindset just for a minute. Are there any special books that you read or events that you go to that help you with the mindset and, you know, keep you going even on the days you don't feel like it?
Yes, mindset's really big for me. I am just always craving to learn. So I'm that person who'll sign up for all those classes, and from going to different events, things to help, you know, to help promote me not only in business, but also my personal life. So I I love books that are, I love the books that Mike recommends. Like most of the books, like Earl Nightingale is one of my favorites. I
Right.
listen to him all the time. I could be watering my plants or gardening and I'll have Earl in my ears, The Essence of Success. And just, I could never, ever get tired of listening to him. So I read Think and Grow Rich when I was in my 20s. I'm thankful to my experience selling environmental products because the founder of the company had suggested Think and Grow Rich. Do you want to be a 97 percenter or do you want to be a 3 percenter? So that ingrained in my head in my mid 20s or early 20s that I wanted to be a 3 percenter. And so that's, I'd never had a normal job, from waiting tables to cleaning houses to selling real estate to owning a home staging business. I've never really had a corporate normal job with a resume. I've always had that mindset that I really enjoy having my own business. I believe in myself. And so all the things that I do to support that are everything I could possibly do, from yoga to candles to being out in nature to when it's stressful. I love gardening. I love plants. And so whatever it is that you can do to really protect your mindset and to believe in yourself. I really believe that we all have the ability to grow, and it's just a matter of our belief in ourselves and finding the tools to grow. I'm a big believer in mentors since my early 20s, learning that having a mentor and someone that you could follow that's already done it. Why reinvent the wheel? Why not just learn from someone that's already done it? If you do what they do, you'll get what they have. So I'm a big believer in that. I also really like the series by Dr. David Hawkins. It's a Scale of Consciousness series. It talks a lot about muscle testing and how we feel. So I believe that we have an internal gut feeling. And so I also do a lot of, I make a lot of decisions based on how I feel.
Got it. Good stuff. Fantastic. Cathy, are you open for a few questions right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So let's open it up. First question for Cathy. Raise your hand or just shout out, please.
Cathy, can we backpedal to the commission structure? Regardless of what you pay the buyer's agent, what are you charging for your full service?
6%.
But you're paying the buyer's agent how much?
Our market, I used to pay them half. I used to pay them 3% because in our market, 95% of the buyer's agents were getting 3%. So I gave the 3% to the buyer's agent. I included home staging in my listing services. So I technically made less on the listing side, but now I'm paying the buyer's agents 2.5 because in our market, 95% of the buyer's agents are getting 2.5. I'm getting 3.5 on the listing side. If I have an opportunity to charge more for the listing side, I would, because I really think my home staging is worth it. I actually track my numbers. So literally when I go on a listing appointment, I have every transaction. I show the sellers, here's the original listing price. Here's the price that I set it to before we hit the market. And here's the close price. And I show them on a spreadsheet how much more each of my individual sellers sold, not just in this market, but in for multiple years. So I really have a strong track record. So it's a kind of a no-brainer when they look at that. I'm like, do you see that by hiring me, that essentially your commissions could actually be covered based on the sales results that we're going to get? So I show them the data. So super analytical data when it comes to presenting to my clients.
And Cathy, your pre-listing package, is it a mirror image of what Mike says to put in your pre-listing package? Do you tweak it? Do you change it? And in the contract, are you writing the 6% on the contract and including that in the PLP?
So what I do is I have the listing package that Mike has us do, the plan of action. I have the list of references. I have another sheet that just talks about my marketing. My coach, Ann Baker, had suggested that I do that because she knows that I may spend too much time talking about the marketing because I love the marketing. My degree was in graphic design and fine arts. I love to share with them the marketing part. So I present that to them up front so that they can look at it and review it. And I've been able to save time on my listing appointments.
Okay. And you're an expressive.
No.
I am. I am so expressive, and I literally have to remind myself not to talk as much. I believe
Very
in
good.
what I do, though, and I have to say I'm really guilty of and of going on appointments. I'm relentless. I will not leave the house without a signed listing agreement. And I remembered, I actually watched an interview just today that you did, Neil, of Mike Putnam. And I remember Mike Putnam showed up once at the listing, and him and I both had Steve Powers at the time. And he walked in, I couldn't believe it. He walked in and I'm like, what are you doing here? He goes, oh, I'm here for my listing appointment. I was like, hey, you can sit outside in the car, or I'll sit outside while you present. He goes, oh no, I'll walk through the house and I'll be right here sitting in the living room. And it was just really funny having him there. And I don't think either one of us got that listing, but I will not leave the house. I've had sellers actually have agents come in, and I'm there with them interviewing the other agents, and then they'll sign after the interview. So I'm pretty relentless when it comes to taking the listing.
Thank you, Cathy.
Good job.
You're welcome.
Good question, Fred. Thank you. Go ahead. Who's next?
I got something.
Go
Cathy,
ahead.
thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And Neil, thanks for inviting me. I met you over in Anaheim. You
You're
gave me-
welcome. Glad you're here, Aaron.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So Cathy, who's on your real estate team? I mean, you did like 72 transactions you had talked about, also like 68, I think you said. Who's on your real estate team?
It's I'm the main, I'm a more of a solo agent. I have a full-time licensed assistant that works on my team. She's more behind the scenes. So all the listings are mine. I don't have a buyer's agent. Every now and then, if I'm on a listing appointment, she'll show properties because she's also a licensed agent, but I do all the negotiations, and I've really enjoyed doing it that way. I'm being a single mom, I have an office at home, and I'm with a small brokerage. So I'm very self-motivated. I have no problem doing what I need to do from my home office, because I like to set goals and improve each year. But I'm changing my mindset about that. I do work a lot. I run a home staging business. I'm at that point where I'm now ready to actually share more. I've noticed that in my conversations lately with especially newer agents, there's a gal that recently called me on one of my listings, and I had just sold it, and she had a listing across the street that wasn't selling. And she asked me about it, and I could tell she really was wanting to learn. And so it dawned on me that she had the one down the street. So I was like, her name's Caitlin. I was like, Caitlin, have you considered staging? Can I help you stage your property? We just sold ours. Let me move it over to yours. It's the same model. And she said, well, let me talk to my clients and see if they'd be open to staging. And she was great. She actually convinced her clients to pay for staging, get it staged. I then helped her stage. I didn't bring my stuff there, but I staged it beautifully using other furniture. And I don't do the staging at all, by the way. I have the stagers do it. And so her house sold full price in 5 days after it sat for 30 days. So now I'm in that, I want to work with her and share with her everything that I know. And I run into a lot of newer agents in my market that I talk to, and I love to ask them questions. And one of them recently went to the Mike Ferry event in Las Vegas. He went to a local event in October, and then I invited him to the Mike Ferry one. He almost didn't go, and I just kind of nudged him along a little bit. So it gives me great pleasure to actually share all the things that I've learned. I'm so thankful to Mike Ferry. So thankful. Like, I could almost cry thinking about how thankful I am to him and Sabrina and this whole environment. Neil, you inviting me to do this interview. When Neil called me, I was in Vegas at Mike Ferry. And I thought, why me, Neil? I'm like a simpleton here in Virginia. I love what I do, but I'm not on these groups very often. So I like to sell. I love selling. I love helping my clients.
You're doing a fabulous job, and you should be on more of them. And thank you for helping us out here. That's really cool. Other good question, Aaron. Other questions for Cathy? Anyone else?
I have a question.
Oh,
Go
yes.
ahead, Tim.
Yeah. Hi, Cathy. Oh,
I
Cathy,
was
you
gonna
wanna
add
say
one
something?
more for Aaron. Aaron, I have the full-time licensed assistant. I did have two, but one of them left when COVID started. So she was gone. I was used to having two. So my one and I literally they used to help me with open houses. I really believe in them and I'm good at them. So like, to give you an example, I had an open house recently, three homes that I listed. And from those 3 homes, I took 5 listings around those 3 homes. So I do effective prospecting and lead follow-up with open houses. But now I have 1, and I also have a full-time gal that works in my office that helps with like the postcards and brochures and the marketing pieces. So that's helpful to have. It's 2, but a more marketing person. So
that's good. You have somebody doing your marketing. It's technically like 2.5 or 3 of you basically that you have on your team.
I can't do everything. I really have learned that you want to delegate delegate. And so it's just, I had to let go, even though I study graphic design and fine arts. I love to be involved in all that. If I could, I'd go take my own photos and design my own signs. And I also do custom signs for all my listings. So I have pictures of the properties on the signs, and it's a little thing that I've done. And it's just, once I do something, I'm very consistent. If it's working and my business is growing, I don't mind investing in those things. And I've had people call me from my signs, hey, that's really cool, and we're selling our house. And so it's just a small little detail of many other details of things that I do.
Right. And the reason I brought it up, and I'll be super brief now, is the fact that you're staying in income producing activities more, right?
I am. And as a matter of fact, when COVID hit, I went to, instead of going into the fear mode, I just went into like, this is going to be okay. I mean, I did go out and get 5 chickens and started organic gardening, wondering, and I got like, the toilet paper shortage, right? I went and got bidets for all the bathrooms, and I had my own way of dealing with it. But I would say that what I did is I literally pulled my sleeves up. And I said, you know what, to my team, I said, let's get to work. What's going on here? One of my team members said, my friend is an accountant. You want to get an SBA loan? I was like, why? Am I not paying you? Is there a problem? And she's like, well, no. I was like, well, how are we going to do open house this weekend? I think we did an open house early March. And I was like, let's get the news out here. We're going to set up soccer cones. We're going to put saran wrap on the doorknobs. We're going to do our brochures. We're going to do our custom sign. We're going to do Facebook Live open houses. We're going to do whatever it takes to get this client's home sold because they deserve it. She's moving to Utah and she's got 4 kids, single mom. We've got to do our best for her. And so I would say that my team literally said, okay. And we did it. And then we got more business and it was my best year ever. I broke, my goal was to hit over $1 million in gross commission. It was $1,017,000 was the exact number I wanted to hit. And then to my surprise, I did, closer to 1.2 that year. And, so sometimes when things happen, we can go into fear mode, or we can go into another mode that is more at ease. I really believe that there's always a lot of abundance, and that there's always, having gone through a couple of divorces already, and I just feel like I've had to really learn how to nurture myself and to believe in myself.
Well, clearly you do and are. Good
I have
stuff.
a question, Neil.
Wait 1 second, Tim. 1 second, Tess. Tim, did you have a quick question?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. What's your main source of business and how large is your database? Thanks.
My main source I'm actually really varied in my source of business. I have my past clients. It's pretty consistent. Like my past clients, my farm, open house, FSBOs, expires. I've been pretty consistent with all of those, but I would say this last year, it's been more my past clients. And then open house. I've never had such great success with open houses, and they're $1 million listings. I'm getting these listings that are beautiful, but I'm making sure that they look phenomenal. I'm staging them. I'm doing videos. So that's been a fun source of business for me, especially with a lack of inventory. You're hearing a lot of people talk about the lack of inventory out there. And so that's been a really great source for me.
Good.
Every listing I take, I want 1 or 2 from it. if I do a great job for that client, that neighbor will tell another neighbor. And so it's just really been great to be able to create that business coming in from that source.
Good stuff, Kathy. Good. Thanks for the question, Tim. Tess.
I have a question. First of all, thank you for taking the time, Kathy. What is your schedule like? You're highly expressive. So how is your schedule in the morning and how do you keep up with that schedule?
No comment. I'm just joking. So my schedule is really exciting. It's
Okay.
it's different all the time. It is because I am I really trust I don't like the same routine. So I'm up very early in the morning and I spend a lot of time thinking about my day. I do a lot of affirmations. I wake up with a feeling of gratitude. I'm grateful every day. I appreciate the people around me. And I do role plays, usually about 7 to 7:30. And then I'm in a lot of coaching. So I do Mondays with Mike, and I have other coaches as well that I, for my personal life. And so I do so much. It's really, I'm not one of those people that spends 5 hours a day prospecting.
Okay.
I
All right.
really focus on the highest, the best leads, and I've always been pretty effective. I can make 10 calls and really have good results when
That's
I'm
good.
prospecting. So
You really make sure you make use of that time. That's really good. My next question would be, as far as the staging, when you say that, does that mean it's inclusive? Meaning when you are talking to the seller, are you actually saying that, okay, I will give you the staging, but do you charge them for the staging, or do you basically have it all inclusive with that listing?
I include staging on all of my listings. So
Okay.
I basically, in my commissions and fees, it's included. But I also have a bonus structure in my staging. So I started that probably about a year ago because I was really getting great results from my clients. I'm also, I have a lot more staging inventory. I'm also looking to expand my staging business to help other agents with their sellers. There are lots of staging companies out there, but I'd like the other agents to use mine. And so I'm working with other agents to also create that same type of situation with their sellers, so that not only do we hold our commissions, right? Because we all want our commissions to stay higher versus going down. And I'm seeing a lot of, larger teams, and, they're reducing their fees. It's easy to reduce your fee. Anyone can reduce their fee, but not everyone can give great service and deliver what the sellers deserve. So that's what I do. I include it. And then I also have a bonus structure. So for every 1,000 above list price, I'm able to earn a certain percentage of that. So I'm sharing in that win with the sellers up to a maximum staging fee. So not only do I include it, but I'm actually getting it paid back to me on the back end. So I'm kind of doing it based on my sales results. And so it's a win-win for the sellers, right? Because I'm able to produce the results that they're looking for. And then they're really happy with the outcome. And I'm happy as well, because that compensates me for my expenses.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Great stuff. Very, very good.
Excuse me. How did you include that on your contract when you had to write down the contract about the money that goes extra over the price for the staging?
You have to look at what your market. I don't know all the rules and regulations within the different markets, but it's and you're welcome to contact me. I'm happy to share with you how I do it. It's and it's evolving. It's changing because it's based on what you want to do. I mean, there are a lot of agents out there that may include staging. There are other agents that may reduce their fees. I would love to support our real estate industry by us not only getting compensated, but also increasing our fees, because I think we're worth it. A great agent is definitely worth it. So.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Good question, Michael. Thank you. All right, everyone, unmute yourselves, unmute yourselves. Let's give Cathy a big hand. Woo! All
Thank you,
right.
thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you everyone
Yes.
for
That was
allowing me to
excellent.
share. And thank you, Neil, for
Cathy,
inviting me
thank
to
you.
this.
Thank you. I know that that you're busy in all the things that you're working on. We've posted your information, contact information in the chat box here. So any of the agents that want to get in touch with you, whether it has to be for the information you shared, or you probably take some referrals, right?
Absolutely. I love paying referral fees, and you can count on me. If you've got any sellers locally in Northern Virginia, I will do a fantastic job with beautifying their homes and getting it sold for top
That's
dollar.
great.
Oh.
Fantastic. All right.
And
well, we're gonna-
I love sending referrals too. So if any of you want to send your contact information, I'd love to save yours as well so that I can share referrals with you.
Smart thing to do. Absolutely. Good stuff. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a few minutes and go around and talk about what we learned today. We understand that you may have a hard stop here. This part is also being recorded, so it's going to be on the link. Then we'll send you that when we get it up and posted. Again, Cathy, thank you so much. It was fantastic. We really appreciate you. Good job.
Thank you.
All right, good work, good work. Okay, what did we learn from Cathy today? What did we learn from this? Share your experience, please. Who's first?
Wow, she has a lot of blind faith and she strongly believes in herself. So she's definitely always working on her mindset.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Good stuff, Abigail. What else did we learn?
I think that,
Anticipation of turning one listing
Wait,
into 2 or
Fred.
3 listings down the road.
Right, Fred, 1 second. Tess, and then you.
okay, I think that she is totally a storyteller. And being that kind of person that really helps it on her business. Sometimes you almost have to do that in order for other people to really see what you can do. And she's definitely a storyteller since she's highly expressive. And that's an asset for her.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Welcome.
Good stuff. Fred, please. Fred, you're muted.
No, I said I forgot what I was going to ask.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
I'll recycle and I'll come back.
All right, sounds good. All right, what else did we learn today? What
Hey,
else?
Neil, I mean, what I can say is she's a beautiful lady, great attitude. And I think this is a trend. When you are so successful, and even though she's beautiful, we're going through divorces, like, other successful people do. I guess probably because when you're busy, maybe affect, sometimes in your personal life. That's why sometimes, successful people have to go through divorces. I don't know if it is true or not.
Well, I hope it's not a have to, but it does seem to be a commonality.
All right.
Okay, good point, Mike.
All right.
Go ahead, Fred, you got it?
Yeah, I do. I'm a little slow, so it takes a while. The fact that she looks at every listing as an opportunity to get 3 or 4 more based on the customer service that she delivers, and not by what would you say, just listed calls, but from the open houses, and then anticipating that the neighbor or the owner is actually going to contact the neighbors and say what an excellent job she did. But just the mindset of going into every listing that this is going to create 2 or 3 more. That's exciting.
Can I add to that, Fred?
Yes.
So I had, I'm here in Las Vegas for a conference, and I spent the first day I was super tired. So I prospected from the room. I set 5 appointments for my hotel room. And the last listing that I got was a call yesterday. And he called me and he said, Cathy, I don't know if you remember us, but my wife and I submitted an offer on Royal Autumn. And this is a house in Leesburg. And I kind of recognized his name. And he said, we didn't get it, but we remembered you and we are selling our house. By the way, we got another house that we like better. And I thought, oh, great. I'm so happy. And then I'm so happy that you kept my number. And he said, we'd like to invite you over to interview for the job of selling our home because we really liked your energy. We like the way you handle the transaction. And even though we didn't get the house, we want you to help us sell ours. So every time you're in front of the customer, it's an opportunity, whether it's a buyer or seller. You know, most buyers are also selling. So that's the mindset that I have, is I want that type of call. It's fun to get incoming calls, right? We love those.
Right. No,
I
it's
just-
excellent. It's excellent.
For
And your
sure.
energy radiates to everyone. It's obvious.
Very
I wanted to say something really quick about what Michael said about divorce and that happening. But I think that what I got out of what you said was that your integrity took you to the next level in your relationship. And because of that, you were able to just make the best of whatever you had to do next. And I just really appreciate hearing that.
Thank you. It was hard, like having a daughter, being a single mom. I was in many ways supporting the whole family. So I think that also, I looked at the positive. I thought I would not have been the producer that I was in 2008. That's when I delivered my daughter. And Steve Powers is my coach. I remember I was like, Steve, you know, the superstar retreat in July, I'm having my daughter in August, and my husband at the time was going to be playing rugby in his country. And Steve said, Cathy, no big deal. Just waddle to the room and sit in the back where the camera guys are and put your feet up. That's where all the pregnant women go. And I thought, okay. And so I went to the retreat and literally sat back there with my feet up, and Steve's probably laughing because honestly, I've been to a lot of retreats. I've not seen a whole bunch of pregnant women sitting in the back by the cameras, but I've always gone to Mike Ferry. That is something that's helped me throughout the whole, you know, everything. And so, and the divorce part is, unfortunately, sometimes, you know, life happens, and we make the best decisions that we can. And I don't regret my decisions because I always focus on the positive. So whenever a relationship is ending, I literally will sit there and I think about all the things that I loved about that person, everything, like just everything. And then I just immerse myself in it. And then I'm able to move on, and I'm able to take all the good stuff. You know, when you focus on the bad stuff, you're carrying that in your head. And you know, even I use it with my sellers. I've got situations sometimes that come up where you list a property, and after 7 days are like, take it off the market. We're going to wait till spring. And you try to convince them. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're not selling anymore. And it, you know, I find that I bounce back up easily because I like to treat people respectfully and with integrity. And I want the same for myself. So I'm thankful that I'm learning to get better in that journey as I get older.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying all that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Cathy,
Kristen, Valerie.
I just want to clarify, Neil, I just want to clarify what I said. It wasn't about Cathy. It's not about her life. I'm just seeing other successful people like my Ferry. They, you know, successful and also went through divorces. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just was saying that looked like it's a trend. That's all.
Yeah, no, I get it, Michael. I understand. I don't think Cathy took it differently. I certainly didn't. Okay, so unmute yourselves. Let's give her oh wait, Robert, you have a.
Well, as a fellow expressive, I just want to say that energy sells.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Energy sells.
Yes.
And the other
All
thing-
right, let's give Cathy a big hand. Woohoo! All right.
Thank you, Cathy. Great job.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes. Lots of
Good
enthusiasm.
job. Good
Love it.
job. Excellent, Cathy. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to go on to our prospecting period. And as Robert promised, we went a little
Well,
bit.
no, you left people with a cliffhanger before you started talking to Cathy.
Oh, I got to finish that, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, where did I leave off?
And then we'll go to open mic
I
prospecting.
was talking about listing. All right, so here's the deal. We get this question all the time. You know, Cathy, what we do is we help great agents, a lot of times buyer's agents that are really good at being buyer's agents turn into becoming fabulous listing agents. Amazing transformation. So the question comes in, you know, because they hear this all the time from other companies, we can help you, we can do it, but no one ever really lines it out. Okay, so I was just lining it out again for the group, and I couldn't finish earlier. So the listing presentation is critical. If you don't know the listing presentation at the highest level possible, you can't possibly succeed at a high listing count. It just doesn't work. You got to know what to say and how to say it at a really high level. So first is the listing presentation with a little bit of objection handlers. Know it, understand it, present it, practice it, role play it, videotape it, make sure you know it at the highest level. Why? Because when you know that listing presentation at that level, you want to tell everybody the story. You want to prospect. You're excited about prospecting, and the end to a great listing presentation is a natural close. You just go right into the close. So that's point number one with that. Number two is to preview property. Actually, it was right in order with Cathy with what you talked about. Know the presentation. Yeah. So it's the same thing. This is not a secret, except most people don't want to do it because there is some effort and energy that goes into this. So you've got to really preview property. So think about it. If you preview 5 houses a day, 5 days a week, I don't know what time that's going to take you, but you do that. All right. A couple hours a day tops. We're not sending you all across town. You see 5 houses a day, 5 days a week. You do that for, that's in a week, you'll see 25 houses. And in 40 weeks, you'll see 1,000 houses. Here's the question. If you saw 1,000 houses in the next 12 months, how well would you know the neighborhoods?
Very well.
Most people don't see 100 houses in 12 months, and you've seen 10 times that, 15 times that. You're going to crush the competition. So you're going to have product knowledge, and you're going to know the listing presentation. The next thing is to make sure that you have a pre-listing package, that it's done and ready to go. Don't keep working on it. Don't work on it tomorrow. Work on it today. In our organization, we help you do that. So if you don't have one and you're with Masters, shame on you, because that's what we help you do. So get with Miriam and the concierge team, and we'll get that taken care of for you ASAP. Then, and only then, should you be on the phones and doors prospecting. You've got all the elements. You know what's going on in the marketplace. You know what to say and how to say it at the highest level. And you should be a lean, mean listing machine. That's it. I don't have anything else.
Energy sells.
Was
listing machine.
Robert, was my mic off?
No,
You know what?
your mic was on. I just, sometimes you say things that people don't want to hear, Neil.
I was flabbergasted.
No, that's what a coach does. A coach tells you what you don't want to hear so that you can do what you don't want to do so that you can make the money that you want to make. That's what a coach does.
Nice.
Can I add to that, Neil?
Please, of course.
So when you go in preview, leave your card. I actually have gone and previewed properties and then they expired. And then I was able to have the listing. I already had pictures of it from when I showed my buyers. And then another example is I went to preview some listings with my sellers. And one of the houses that I previewed with them, I thought would be a good fit for another buyer. So I called them that night and said, hey, I've got this great property I think you might like. And it was $1,030,000. And so they looked at it the next day and they were under contract the next day. So when you preview, it gives you more opportunities. You're out there, especially if you don't have an appointment to educate yourself in the market. I've also heard of other agents increasing their price points by previewing higher priced neighborhoods and maybe saving the listing brochure and looking at what those agents do to promote their business. And that also sets you up to have that mindset of like, this is where I'm going and, focusing on having that business as well.
It's great ideas. We appreciate it. We're very much in sync if you don't know that, Cathy.
Well, this is fun. I would love to actually be involved with more of your masterminds. This is really a great way to kind of share ideas and get
12:15 Pacific time, almost every Thursday of the year.
That's cool.
So please have it open. Please join us anytime. We have an open mic program that we do from noon to 3 Pacific time, where we have 30, 40, 50 agents that are prospecting. They're all muted except for one agent that's prospecting unmuted for 30 minutes. It's one of the best things I think that we do and help our agents move to the next level, because you get to hear what other agents are saying or not saying, and it helps everyone grow. It's a very powerful program. Anyone's welcome to do it. So if you want to do something like that, play with it. We can probably, I'm sure that Robert will find a spot for you, Cathy, anytime you check in with him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Great.
All right, good stuff. All right, somebody's got 9 minutes, Robert.
Well, actually, we
No.
lucked out because there was no one at 1 o'clock anyway. So Christina will take over at 1:30. Jason's at 2 and 2:30. David's at 3. 3:30, I have a class. Never done this class before. It's not something we talk about a lot, but I know some of you do it, so we might as well do it right. And that is how to do a real estate farm. So that's the rest of our day.
That was dead silence, Robert.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, I have that effect on people.
All right, everybody, great stuff. Really, really
Good
good.
night.
Happy again. Fabulous.